Captain Alan Hayes stood at the large window of the Earthship Valiant, his eyes fixed on the strange structure below on the moon's surface. The alien building glowed with soft blue and green lights. It looked almost like it was alive, pulsing. Slowly, like a giant heart, Alan was a tall man with short brown hair and deep worry lines around his eyes. 20 years in Earth's space fleet had taught him caution. The aliens called Vraxions had attacked 3 human colonies in the past year. Now, his team had found what looked like one of their bases. "What do the scans show, Lieutenant Wells?" Alan asked, turning to face the young woman at the control panel. Samantha Wells looked up from her screen. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing controls as she checked the readings again. "Very little activity, sir," she said. "Energy levels are low. I count only 7 Vraxians inside. Their defense systems seem to be turned off or in sleep mode." Alan frowned. This didn't match what they knew about Vraxians. These aliens were careful and never left their bases poorly defended. "Are you sure the scans are working right?" he asked. Lieutenant Wells nodded. "Yes, sir. Triple-checked. 7 Vraxian life signs, plus 1 small unknown signature." The small one is probably just one of their living tools. They use biological technology for everything. From across the bridge, Lieutenant Daniel Morris spoke up. "Captain, this could be our chance. We've been ordered to capture a Vraxian officer for questioning. With so few guards, a small team could get in and out quickly." Alan walked slowly to the central map display. The hologram showed a 3D model of the alien base. It looked like a cluster of bubbles made of some organic material, with several openings around the edges. "I don't like it," Alan said quietly. "Why? Would they leave such a light defense?" "The Vraxians are never careless." "Maybe they don't think we know about this base," offered Wells. "It is hidden in this crater, and they've covered it with moon dust to match the surroundings." Alan thought for a long moment. His orders from Earth Command were clear: gather information about Vraxian communication methods and technology. A capture mission could get them the intelligence they needed to protect Earth's colonies. "Get me Sergeant Rodriguez on the comm," he finally decided. A few seconds later, the face of Kelly Rodriguez appeared on the screen. She had dark hair pulled back tightly and alert eyes that missed nothing. "Sergeant, I need your strike team ready in 30 minutes, Alan said. "We've found a Vraxian base with minimal defenses. Your mission is to enter, capture 1 officer-level alien, and get out without starting a fight if possible." Rodriguez nodded sharply. "Yes, sir. My team is ready. 6 of us should be enough with the element of surprise." "Be careful down there," Alan warned. "This seems too easy. The Vraxians might have traps we can't detect from up here." "We'll be ghosts, sir," Rodriguez assured him. "In and out before they know we're there." After the call ended, Alan turned to his second-in-command, Commander Paul Dixon. Dixon was older than Alan, with gray hair and a permanent serious expression. "What do you think, Paul?" Alan asked quietly. Dixon crossed his arms. "I think if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But we need that intelligence. Just make sure Rodriguez knows to pull out at the first sign of trouble." Alan nodded and went back to studying the base. Something about the situation made him uneasy. The Vraxians were known for their clever tactics and advanced biological technology. They created living weapons and ships that could think and adapt. Lieutenant Wells interrupted his thoughts. "Captain, I've got better readings on that small unknown life sign. It's moving around the base freely, not like their normal biotools. It might be some kind of pet or service creature. Can you show me?" Alan asked. Wells tapped her controls, and a new image appeared. The thermal scan showed a small creature, about the size of a house cat, moving through the alien base. It seemed to walk on multiple legs and had an unusual shape. Whatever it is, it's not a Vraxion, Wells said. Too small. Probably harmless. Alan wasn't so sure. In his experience, nothing about the Vraxions was harmless. In the ship's loading bay, Sergeant Rodriguez briefed her team. They all wore the newest stealth suits, which adapted to match any background. Each carried stun weapons designed to disable Vraxions without killing them. Listen up, Rodriguez said to her 5 team. Members, this is a capture mission. We go in quiet, find an officer, and bring them back for questioning. No killing unless absolutely necessary. Private Lisa Bennett checked her weapon. What about their biotech? Those walls might have alarm systems built into them. Good point, Rodriguez replied. That's why we move fast. Our suits should mask our heat signatures and block their normal detection methods. Corporal Patrick Green, the team's tech specialist, held up a small device. I've got the neural disruptor ready. It should knock out a Vraxion for about 2 hours, plenty of time to get back to the ship. Rodriguez nodded. Good. Remember, we don't know much about their base layout. We'll have to adapt once we're inside. Stay close and follow my lead. The team finished their preparations as the dropship was readied. This small, silent craft would take them to the surface and wait nearby for extraction. Back on the bridge, Alan watched as the dropship detached from the Valiant. The small craft quickly disappeared against the dark moon's surface, its stealth systems making it almost invisible. Strike team away, reported Lieutenant Wells. They'll reach the target in 12 minutes. Alan took his seat in the command chair. Keep all sensors focused on that base. I want to know if anything changes down there. As the dropship flew silently toward the alien structure, no one on the Valiant paid much attention to the small creature, moving around inside the base. After all, what harm could something so small possibly do against 6 trained human soldiers? Alan Hayes would soon learn the answer to that question, and he wouldn't like it at all. The small dropship landed silently 1 kilometer from the Vraxian base. The moon's surface was covered in gray-purple dust that puffed up around their boots as Sergeant Kelly Rodriguez and her team stepped onto the ground. Above them, the starry sky was pitch black, with the blue-green curve of a distant planet on the horizon. Activate camouflage, Kelly ordered quietly. All 6 soldiers tapped the controls on their wrists. Their suits shimmered and then changed color to match the moon's surface. If someone looked directly at them, they might see a slight blur, but from a distance, they were nearly invisible. Command, this is Recon 1, Kelly whispered into her helmet microphone. We have landed safely and are moving toward the target. Captain, Alan's voice came through their helmet speakers. Understood, Recon 1. Remember, get in, grab 1 officer, and get out. Don't take unnecessary risks. Kelly signaled for the team to move forward. They walked in a tight formation, their special boots designed to minimize dust clouds. The low gravity made movement easier, but they had trained for this. Each step was careful and controlled. As they got closer to the alien base, they could see it better. The structure looked like giant bubbles stuck together, made of something that seemed partly metal and partly alive. The walls pulsed slowly with dim blue light. I don't see any guards outside, whispered Private Lisa Bennett. She was the youngest team member, but one of the best shots. Corporal Patrick Green checked his scanner, still showing 7 Vraxians. Inside, they're all in the central area. No movement toward us. Kelly held up her hand, and the team stopped behind a small ridge 200 meters from the base. Through her enhanced vision goggles, she studied the alien structure. This doesn't feel right, she said quietly. The Vraxians always post guards. Maybe they don't expect anyone to find them here, suggested Green. This moon is pretty far from normal space lanes. Kelly wasn't convinced, but their orders were clear. We proceed with caution. Bennett, you're on point. We'll enter through that opening on the east side. It looks like some kind of door. A team moved forward again, staying low and using the uneven ground for cover when possible. As they got within 50 meters of the base, they saw what Kelly had spotted, an opening in the wall that pulsed slightly, like a giant mouth breathing. That's their version of a door, whispered Private Bennett. It reacts to their biology. We'll need to trigger it manually. Corporal Green pulled out a small device. This should mimic their cellular patterns enough to fool the door. Just as they were about to move closer, something small darted out from the opening. The team froze. The creature was about the size of a large cat, but that's where the similarity to Earth animals ended. It had 6 legs ending in delicate fingers, a long body covered in silvery blue skin that seemed to change color slightly as it moved, and a head with 4 eyes, 2 large ones in front and 2 smaller ones on the sides. What is that thing? Whispered Private Joe Martinez, the team's medical specialist. Must be the small life form the captain mentioned, Kelly replied. Some kind of pet or tool the Vraxians use. The strange creature stopped and seemed to sniff the air. Its 4 eyes blinked independently of each other. For a moment, Kelly thought it was looking right at them, despite their camouflage. Then it made a soft chirping sound and scampered back inside the base. Do you think it saw us? Asked Bennett. Impossible, said Green. Our suits block heat signatures and visual detection. Kelly wasn't so sure, but they couldn't abort the mission now. Let's move in, quick and quiet. They approached the opening, and Green activated his device. The fleshy door pulsed once, then opened like a mouth, revealing a tunnel lined with the same living material as the outside. We're in, Kelly reported to the ship, proceeding to capture phase. Inside, the alien base was warm and humid. The walls glowed with blue-green light from vein-like structures running through them. The team moved carefully, following the tunnel, toward the center where their scanners showed the Vraxians were located. This place is creepy, muttered Private Martinez. It feels like we're inside a giant animal. Focus, Kelly reminded him. Green, how far to the central chamber? About 50 meters ahead, he replied, checking his scanner. All 7 targets. Still in the same location. They don't seem to be moving much. As they moved deeper into the base, Kelly noticed something odd. The tunnel occasionally pulsed, like it was carrying information through its walls. She had studied Vraxian bases before, and this one seemed different somehow. The architecture isn't quite right, she whispered to Green. Vraxian bases usually have more regular patterns. Before Green could answer, they heard a soft chirping sound from behind them. Kelly turned to see the 6-legged creature following them, walking along the ceiling of the tunnel like it was the floor. It did see us, Bennett whispered. Kelly raised her stun weapon, but the creature just tilted its head and blinked its 4 eyes at them. It made no aggressive moves and didn't seem to be alerting the Vraxians. Hold fire, Kelly ordered. It's not raising an alarm. Maybe it's just curious. They continued forward, now aware that the small alien was following them, sometimes on the ceiling, sometimes on the walls. It kept a constant distance, never coming too close, but never falling too far behind. After a few more minutes of careful movement, they reached a larger opening. Beyond it was a vast circular chamber, at least 30 meters across. The walls here pulsed with brighter light, and in the center stood what looked like a control station, a raised platform with organic-looking technology growing from it. But what made Kelly's heart race was what she didn't see. There were no Vraxians in sight. Green, check your scanner again, she whispered urgently. Green looked confused as he checked the device. Still showing 7 Vraxians in this room. They should be right in front of us. Kelly signaled for the team to hold position just outside the chamber entrance. Something was very wrong. "Command, this is Recon 1, she reported quietly. "We've reached the central chamber, but there are no Vraxians visible, despite scanner readings saying they're here." "Could they be hiding?" Captain Allen's voice asked through the comm. "In an empty room?" "There's nowhere to." Kelly stopped as a new thought hit her. She looked at the walls of the chamber more carefully. The patterns she had noticed earlier suddenly made more sense. What if the walls weren't just walls? She turned to warn her team, but a soft chirping sound interrupted her. The small creature had moved past them, and now sat in the entrance to the chamber, all four eyes fixed on Kelly. Then it did something that made every human freeze in shock. It spoke, in perfect English. "You should not have come here." Kelly and her team stood frozen in shock. The small alien creature had just spoken to them in perfect English. This was impossible. No Vraxian had ever shown the ability to speak human languages before. "What did you say?" Kelly finally managed to ask, her weapon still pointed at the creature. The six-legged being blinked its four eyes in sequence. "I said, you should not have come here. This is not a place for humans." Private Bennett moved her finger closer to her trigger. "It's some kind of trap." "Don't shoot," Kelly ordered quickly. "It hasn't attacked us." She looked back at the strange creature. "What are you? You're not Vraxian." "I am Mira," the creature replied, its voice musical and light. "My kind are called Elferin. We work with the Vraxians, not for them." "Corporal." Green checked his scanner again, confused. "Sergeant, I'm still reading 7 Vraxian life signs in this room, but I don't see any." Kelly kept her eyes on the creature called Mira. "Where are the Vraxians our scanners are detecting?" Mira made a sound that almost seemed like a laugh. "They are here. They have always been here." The small alien tilted its head. "Humans rely too much on what they can see. The Vraxians are masters of adaptation." A cold feeling ran down Kelly's spine as she looked more carefully at the walls of the chamber. The patterns she had noticed earlier seemed to shift slightly, almost like the walls, she whispered in horror. "They're in the walls." As if responding to her words, sections of the wall began to move. What they had thought were just strange designs or architectural features slowly pulled away and took form. 7 tall figures emerged, their skin perfectly matching the colors and patterns of the walls they had been hiding against. The Vraxians were over 2 meters tall, with long, flexible limbs and oval-shaped heads. Their bodies changed color even, as the humans watched, shifting from the blue-green of the walls to a deeper purple. "Ambush!" Kelly shouted. "Defensive positions!" The team quickly formed a circle, their backs to each other and weapons pointed outward. But the Vraxians made no move to attack. They simply stood there, surrounding the humans. Kelly tapped her comm. "Command, this is Recon 1. We have a situation." The Vraxians were camouflaged against the walls. "We are surrounded by 7 hostiles and 1 unknown alien species that speaks English." Captain Allen's voice came through with a slight delay. "Can you make it back to the entrance?" Kelly glanced behind them. 2 Vraxians now blocked the tunnel they had come through. "Negative, sir. All exits covered." The small creature, Mira, walked into the center of the chamber. "There is no need for violence. We simply wish to talk." "Talk?" Kelly kept her weapon ready. "Vraxians have attacked 3 human colonies. They don't talk." Myra's skin rippled with changing colors. "Those were not Vraxians. Those were Hezrethi. They look similar to humans, but they are very different species." Green whispered to Kelly, "Could be lying to confuse us." Before Kelly could respond, Myra suddenly jumped high into the air. Its body seemed to stretch, becoming longer and thinner. From its mouth came a fine mist that quickly spread throughout the chamber. "Gas!" shouted Martinez. "Masks on!" But it was too late. Kelly felt her limbs growing heavy as she breathed in the strange mist. Her vision began to blur, and her thoughts became slow and confused. She tried to raise her weapon, but her arm wouldn't respond properly. "Neural toxin," she managed to say as she fell to her knees. "Non-lethal." Around her, her team members were also collapsing, their weapons clattering to the floor. Kelly fought to stay conscious, but the darkness was closing in from all sides. Last thing she saw was Myra returning to normal size and approaching her with a curious tilt of its head. "Sleep now, human," it said softly. "When you wake, we will explain everything." Then darkness took her completely. On the Valiant, Captain Allen watched with growing concern as the communication with the strike team suddenly cut off. Sergeant Rodriguez. "Come in," he called urgently. "Recon 1, report status." Only static answered him. "What happened?" he demanded, turning to Lieutenant Wells. She worked quickly at her console, checking various readings. They were in contact. Then there was mention of an ambush, and now nothing. Life signs are still present, but showing reduced activity. They might be unconscious. Allen hit his fist against the arm of his chair. "I knew it was a trap." "Prepare." A rescue team immediately. Commander Dixon stepped forward. "Sir, if the first team was ambushed, sending more people might just give the Vraxians more prisoners." Allen knew Dixon was right, but he couldn't just abandon his people. "Options, people. I need options." "Sir," Lieutenant Wells called. "I'm detecting movement from the base. Something's launching." They all turned to the main screen, which showed a small object rising from the alien structure. It wasn't a weapon or a ship. It was too small for either. It looked almost like a probe. "Track it," Allen ordered. "It's heading directly for us," Wells reported, her voice tense. "Defensive systems ready," Dixon said. The small object approached the Valiant rapidly, then stopped just outside the hull. Before anyone could react further, all the communication screens on the bridge suddenly activated. The image of the six-legged creature appeared on every display. "Greetings, Captain Allen Hayes of Earth Vessel Valiant," it said in perfect English. "I am Mira of the Elfrin. Your team is safe and unharmed. They are merely sleeping and will wake in approximately 2 of your hours." Allen stared at the screen in shock. "How do you know my name? How are you accessing our systems?" The creature's skin rippled with changing colors. "Your communication protocols are simple to decode. As for your name, your sergeant spoke it before we administered this sleeping agent." "What do you want?" Allen demanded. "To correct a misunderstanding," Myra replied. "The attacks on your colonies were not carried out by Vraxians. They were the work of another species called the Hezrithi. We have evidence to prove this." Allen didn't know whether to believe this strange creature, but he had to find out more. "And my team will be returned to you unharmed once we have shared our information. The Hezrithi are a threat to both our peoples, Captain Hayes. They believe emerging species like humanity should be eliminated before they can become competitors." On the bridge of the Valiant, Allen exchanged looks with his officers. If this was true, it changed everything they thought they knew about the situation. "I'm listening," he finally said. Kelly slowly opened her eyes. Her head felt heavy, and her thoughts were foggy. She was lying on something soft that moved slightly beneath her, almost like it was breathing. She pushed herself up to a sitting position and looked around. She was still in the central chamber of the alien base, but her weapons and equipment were gone. Her team members were also waking up nearby, looking confused. None of them appeared to be hurt. "Everyone okay?" Kelly asked, her voice a bit rough. They all nodded or gave thumbs-up signals. No one seemed injured, just disoriented. "What happened?" asked Private Bennett. rubbing her eyes. The small alien Myra released some kind of gas that knocked us out, Kelly explained. Looks like they didn't want to hurt us, just stop us. Corporal Green was examining the room more carefully now. If they wanted us dead, we'd be dead. They must want something else. As if on cue, an opening appeared in the wall, and Mira walked in. Behind the small six-legged creature came two of the tall Vraxians. You are awake. Good, Myra said. How? Do you feel? Kelly stood up, and her team followed her lead. Like I've been drugged. What do you want with us? To share information, Myra replied simply, and to correct a dangerous misunderstanding. One of the Vraxians made a series of clicking and whistling sounds. Mira's skin rippled with changing colors in response. My friend says your ship is concerned for your safety, Mira translated. We have contacted your captain and explained that. You are unharmed. Kelly was surprised. You've been talking to Captain Hayes? Yes, he is understandably suspicious, but he is listening. We have begun sharing data about the Hezarthy with him. Kelly looked at the two tall aliens behind Mira. Up close, she could see details she hadn't noticed before. Their skin was covered in tiny scales that shifted color constantly. Their four-fingered hands had no nails or claws, just smooth pads that looked designed for delicate work. You said the Vraxians didn't attack our colonies, Kelly said. You blamed these Hezarthy. We need proof. Mira nodded. Of course. Please, follow me. The small alien led Kelly and her team through a new opening in the wall. The Vraxians followed. Behind them, moving with surprising grace for such tall creatures, they entered a smaller room filled with what looked like living computer terminals. Glowing orbs pulsed with light, and thin tendrils connected everything in a complex web. This is our data center, Mira explained. The Vraxians use biological technology for everything, even information storage. Mira approached one of the glowing orbs and placed 3 of its 6 limbs on it. The orb brightened, and suddenly a 3-dimensional image appeared in the center of the room. The image showed a ship that looked similar to Vraxian vessels, but with key differences. It was attacking what Kelly recognized as a human colony on one of the outer planets. This is footage we captured of a Hezarthy attack on your colony on Proxima B, Mira said. Note the design differences from true Vraxian ships. The image zoomed in to show details of the attacking ship. Mira pointed out subtle differences in the organic structure and the weapon systems. The Hezarthy deliberately copy Vraxian technology and appearance, Mira explained. They want your species and the Vraxians to fight each other while they expand their territory. Kelly studied the images carefully. How do we know this isn't just clever editing to trick us? A fair question, Myra acknowledged. We have also captured a Hezarthy scout ship. Would you like to see the difference in person? Kelly looked at her team, who nodded. Yes, we would. Mira led them through more organic corridors until they reached what appeared to be a docking bay. Inside was a small ship that looked similar to the Vraxian base, but with subtle differences in color and texture. This is a Hezarthy vessel, Mira said. We disabled it 2 weeks ago when it came to spy on this base. Kelly approached the ship cautiously. It did look similar to Vraxian design, but there were clear differences up close. The material seemed rougher, less alive somehow. Where is the crew? Green asked. Dead, Mira said simply. The Hezarthy fight to the death. They do not surrender. Myra placed its limbs on the ship's hull, and a section opened up. Inside, Kelly could see a control room designed for beings with different proportions than the Vraxians. The Hezarthy are shorter and broader than Vraxians, Mira explained. Their technology mimics Vraxian biotech, but is cruder. They lack the deep understanding of living systems that Vraxians possess. As Kelly examined the ship, she had to admit the evidence was compelling. This was clearly designed for a different species than the Vraxians she had just met. "Why are you showing us this?" she finally asked. "Why reveal yourselves to us at all?" Mira's colors shifted to a deep blue. "Because the Hezarthy are planning something big. They have gathered a fleet near your solar system. We believe they plan to attack Earth itself, not just the colonies." Kelly felt cold despite the warm air of the alien base. "How big a fleet?" 17 warships, Mira replied, each capable of destroying a small city. One of the Vraxians made more clicking and whistling sounds. Myra translated. "The Vraxian Alliance proposes cooperation. Your technology combined with theirs might be enough to stop the Hezarthy." Kelly was silent for a moment, considering the implications. If this was true, humanity faced a threat far greater than they had realized. But if it was a trick, "I need to talk to my captain," she finally said. Myra nodded. "Of course. We have prepared a secure communication room. You may speak with him privately." The small alien led them to yet another chamber where a screen showed. "The Bridge of the Valiant." Captain Allen looked relieved to see Kelly and her team alive and well. "Sergeant Rodriguez, report," he said. "Are you and your team being treated well?" Kelly nodded. "Yes, sir. We're unharmed. They've been showing us evidence about these Hezarthy aliens." "Sir, I think they might be telling the truth." Allen's expression was serious. "We've been reviewing the data they sent us. It matches with some anomalies we detected during the colony attacks, but couldn't explain." "What are your orders, sir?" Kelly asked. "Continue gathering information," Allen replied. "I've contacted Earth Command. They're sending 3 more ships to our location, but they'll take 2 days to arrive. Until then, we need to learn everything we can." Kelly glanced at Mira, who had remained respectfully by the door. "Sir, if what they're saying is true, we don't have much time before this Hezarthy fleet attacks." Allen nodded gravely. "I know. That's why I've authorized limited cooperation with the Vraxians while we verify their claims. We'll be sending a shuttle down with technical specialists." After the call ended, Kelly turned to Mira. "It seems we're going to be working together, at least temporarily." Myra's colors shifted to a brighter pattern. "I am pleased. The Elfren have long believed that cooperation between different species is stronger than conflict." Kelly wasn't entirely convinced yet, but the evidence was mounting. One thing was certain: she had underestimated both the Vraxians and their small pet badly. She wouldn't make that mistake again. 2 weeks passed quickly. The moon base that once seemed like a trap had become the center of an unlikely alliance. Human engineers and scientists worked alongside Vraxians, studying each other's technology and preparing for the coming battle. Captain Allen stood in the new command center they had built together. The room combined human computer screens with Vraxian living technology. It was strange but effective. Through the large viewing window, he could see the combined fleet in orbit around the moon. 5 human ships had joined the Valiant, and 9 Vraxian bioships had arrived as reinforcements. "The Hezarthy fleet will arrive within the hour," said Myra, who stood beside Allen. The small Elfren had become the main translator between humans and Vraxians. "Our long-range sensors detect 17 ships, just as we predicted." Allen nodded, his face serious. "Are our ships ready?" "Yes," Mira replied. "The human weapons have been successfully integrated with Vraxian defense systems, and my people are in position." That had been the most surprising development of all. The Elfren, who Allen had first mistaken for pets or tools, were actually powerful allies. 30 more of Myra's kind had arrived on the Vraxian ships. They were small and looked harmless, but they had proven to be anything but. Sergeant Kelly Rodriguez entered the command center, now wearing a new uniform that combined human military design with Vraxian technology. It provided better protection and helped the two species identify each other easily in battle. "Strike teams are ready, Captain," she reported. "Each human squad has been paired with 2 Vraxians and 1 Elferin, as requested." Alan turned to, "Look at her. How are our people handling the partnership?" Kelly smiled slightly. "Better than expected, sir. The neural link the Elferin created lets us communicate without language barriers. Makes teamwork much easier. The neural link had been Myra's idea. A temporary connection that let humans, Vraxians, and Elferin share basic thoughts and intentions. It didn't allow mind reading, just simple combat communications that bypassed the need for translation." "And the special weapon?" Alan asked. "Ready," Kelly confirmed. "Though I still find it hard to believe it will work." The special weapon was actually the Elferin themselves. Their ability to change size, produce chemical compounds, and infiltrate enemy ships made them the perfect secret weapon. The Hezarthi had no knowledge of the alliance with the Elferin and would not be prepared for them. A soft alarm sounded, and everyone turned to the main display. The Hezarthi fleet had emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. "They're right on schedule," Alan noted. "They still think this is just a Vraxian outpost with minimal defenses." Myra's colors shifted to a deep, intense pattern. "They are in for a surprise." Alan moved to the communication station. "All ships, this is Captain Hayes. Take your positions. Remember the plan. Let them think we're disorganized until they commit to the attack." The combined fleet moved into what would appear to be a hasty, unplanned defensive formation. The human ships positioned themselves as if they had just arrived and were not working with the Vraxians. It had to look like 2 separate forces that happened to be in the same place. "The Hezarthi are broadcasting their standard message," reported Lieutenant Wells from her station. The young officer had adapted quickly to the new technology. "Put it on screen," Alan ordered. The main display showed a Hezarthi for the first time. They were stocky beings with thick, rough skin and 4 eyes, similar to the Elferin, but set in a broader face. This one wore what appeared to be a military uniform. "Attention, human vessels," the Hezarthi commander said in rough English. "We are here to protect you from the Vraxian threat. These aliens have attacked your colonies and will destroy your homeworld. Join us in eliminating them, and we will guarantee your safety." Alan looked at Mira, who nodded. This was exactly what they had predicted. The Hezarthi were still trying to turn humans against Vraxians. "Should I respond as planned?" Alan asked. "Yes," Mira said. "Let them think their deception is working." Alan activated the communication system. "Hezarthi vessel, this is Captain Alan Hayes of Earth Defense Fleet. We are engaged in combat with Vraxian forces who attacked our colonies. We will not fire on your ships if you assist us." The Hezarthi commander looked pleased. "Move your vessels." "Aside, Captain. We will destroy the Vraxian threat for you." The Hezarthi fleet advanced confidently, moving into attack formation as they approached the Vraxian ships. They completely ignored the human vessels, thinking they had successfully deceived them. "They're taking the bait," Kelly observed. Alan nodded. "Prepare for Phase 2. All ships hold position until my mark." The Hezarthi ships moved closer, their weapons powering up to attack the Vraxian vessels. They had no idea that each Vraxian ship now carried a squad of Elferin, or that human weapons had been linked with Vraxian defenses. When the Hezarthi fleet was fully committed to their attack run, Alan gave the order. "All ships execute Phase 2. Now." The human vessels suddenly changed course, moving to flank the Hezarthi ships. At the same time, the Vraxian vessels activated their enhanced shields, easily absorbing the first wave of Hezarthi attacks. "They're confused," Wells reported, monitoring the Hezarthi communications. "They're trying to figure out why the human ships are moving against them." Alan smiled grimly. "Let's add to their confusion. Myra, signal your people." Mira made a high-pitched sound that human ears could barely detect. On every Vraxian ship, the Elfarin received the signal and began their part of the plan. Elfarin teams are away, Kelly reported, watching the tactical display. They've launched and are approaching the Hezrathi vessels. The Elfarin, nearly invisible against the darkness of space, attached themselves to the hulls of the Hezrathi ships. Using their ability to change size and shape, they squeezed through maintenance ports and entered the enemy vessels. Now we wait, Alan said. It didn't take long. Within minutes, reports came in of Hezrathi ships losing power or weapons control. Some began to drift aimlessly. Others fired at empty space or even at each other. The Elfarin are in their systems, Mira explained with evident pride. My people are releasing compounds that cause confusion and hallucinations. The Hezrathi are fighting shadows and each other. On the main screen, they could see the Hezrathi fleet falling into chaos. What had started as a coordinated attack had become a disorganized mess. 3 ships had already collided with each other, causing severe damage. Begin final phase, Alan ordered. The combined human Vraxian fleet moved in, targeting the now vulnerable Hezrathi ships with precision strikes. One by one, the enemy vessels were disabled or destroyed. Some attempted to flee, but the Elfarin had sabotaged their engines. Within an hour, it was over. The Hezrathi fleet was defeated, with 7 ships destroyed and 10 captured. The Alliance had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. In the command center, humans and Vraxians celebrated. Together, Alan turned to Mira, who was looking quite pleased. We couldn't have done this without you and your people, he said sincerely. When we first saw you, we thought you were just some kind of pet. Mira's colors rippled in what Alan now recognized as amusement, a common mistake. The Hezrathi made the same error. They never suspected that the small creatures they dismissed could be their downfall. Kelly joined them, smiling. I guess the old Earth saying is true. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. Mira tilted its head curiously. I do not know what a dog is, but I understand the meaning. Sometimes the smallest allies are the most important. As they looked out at the stars, Alan knew this was just the beginning. The alliance between humans, Vraxians, and Elfarin would change the future for all 3 species. And it had all started because his team had underestimated a seemingly harmless pet in what appeared to be a lightly defended camp. Sometimes, Alan thought, the most dangerous things in the universe are the ones you least suspect.